recognize from a talent management perspective in terms of being competitive? What are the key disruptors of talent strategies in today's modern world? Also, the current talent management trends that are out there, and also just focus on a talent management framework that is used mostly in local government, and just share some concluding insights on those topics of discussion. So, I think first thing is we need to recognize that disruption is the norm. In today's world, there's nothing that is not, that is constant. There's always going to be disruption. And in the environment that we function in, from a South African perspective, there is constant disruption, right? So how does that then speak to employees? So simple things such as a load shedding in South Africa, how does that impact employee performance? Simple thing as an employee catching a taxi to get to work, how does that influence their performance at work? And how do we manage that as HR leaders and as leaders in the organizations as well? So there's going to be constant disruption from a technological perspective as well that is disrupting how we're doing things. If we speak internationally, we look at what's happening with the American president that is causing disruption in all the economies that are around the world, with tariffs being implemented, being retracted, and so forth. So that disruption is going to be there, and is going to influence how organizations function and how they actually then influence employees and how we manage that process. There's also evolving expectations in the workplace and in society in general. I think from a local government perspective, someone said yesterday that by default, we are your stakeholders as society. So those evolving expectations from society, how do they then trickle down to how we manage employees and how we treat our talent? For instance, with these evolving expectations and global change that is happening, an employee that has been employed in the same position will not have the same expectations as an employee that is coming into the organization fresh from university or from a different organization. So we all value different things in our work, and therefore we should be treated differently. And how do we ensure then that we meet those expectations of our employees and of our organizations? Because we need to look at it from an organizational perspective, an employee perspective, and a management perspective to say, how do we integrate all these evolving expectations from internal and external stakeholders and employee expectations? There's also global competition. I think whether we like it or not, we are in a competitive world, and we need to meet the standards of the world. If you look at the African Union Agenda for 2063, the goals that have been set there are quite clear in terms of what we need to do as an African country, African continent, and how does that impact our functioning as local government from a South African perspective to reach some of those goals, which are similar to our service delivery plans from a local government perspective. So we need to start integrating that in how we're doing things. How do we prepare our talent to actually be competitive at a global scale? And that, on the other hand, that preparation also sets them up to actually then explore other opportunities in the global world as well. So it's kind of a double-edged sword, but we need to find a way to remain competitive. And also, obviously, our main mandate being that of improved service delivery. How do we then bring all that together to improve service delivery for our society, for our stakeholders, internal and external? So we need to hire for the right positions, we need to hire the right people to ensure that there is service delivery. But that's not just a process of hiring and ensuring that. There's certain things that need to be in place to ensure that our employees are actually ready then to actually compete and deliver on the services and the mandates that we have. So, moving on, there are certain disruptors then of talent management strategies that actually then influence this and how we do things. So the first thing I want us to discuss is that of demographic shifts in the workplace. So there's an aging workforce, but with that there's also an increased life expectancy. So this aging workforce, as much as they need to retire, have we prepared enough talent pipeline to actually meet the gap that they're going to create when they exit? Is there a talent pipeline to actually meet those demands? But also, on the other hand, with the increased life expectancy, this aging workforce also needs to remain employable so that they can sustain themselves in the future from a financial perspective as well. Because as we can see, there is economic volatility People are living longer, therefore they need income to actually sustain themselves. So we need to find a balance. What are employment contracts going to look like for this kind of workforce? How are we going to actually manage the workforce? Are we going to manage it as we would manage a day-to-day employee that's employed on a full-time basis? So we need to actually find ways in which we can integrate this knowledge transfer from this aging workforce, but also meet their demands to actually function optimally in the organization as well. And also we have an issue of low birth rates. I think that speaks to a societal challenge as well, and not just an employee perspective. But with low birth rates, this aging workforce also has nobody to take care of them in the future. So how do we ensure that as organizations, we are inclusive enough to say, if people want to increase their birth rates or number of kids they have, for that matter, we can actually have policies that are flexible in today's modern world to actually accommodate that, so that the gap that is felt in society is also influenced by how we do things in our organizations. And I think the topic of artificial intelligence and digitization has been spoken enough about over the past couple of days. But mine is, we need to look beyond that. We need to humanize that artificial intelligence process and digitization, and would say, what do we do with it? Let it not just be converting Word documents to PDFs. Let it go beyond that. Let's say digitization. We are going to create systems that work, that create efficiency and effectiveness, so that everybody can actually understand how this works. And also with that, I think Monday was International Literacy Day. So how do we make sure that everybody in this workforce that is diverse and inclusive is not left behind when we're implementing this AI and digitization tools? Because that's that's a huge thing in workplaces, because of the generational shifts that exist there and the type of workforce that we have in our organizations. So we need to find a balance to ensure that nobody's left behind. So you realize when they speak of change and accepting change, there's different stages and acceptance of change. There are those that will adopt quick to change, and there are those that will take time to actually adopt to change. So how do we marry the two and make sure that as part of the talent management processes of our organizations, all these people are not left behind, and there's actually quality service delivery that they can actually achieve from their scope of work, and also the generational shifts that exists in organizations. I think we have different generations, and there's different interests. We value different things in that. So a simple thing, by show of hands here, who prefers to work from home? And who prefers to work from the office? So there are those differences, and those are generational and individual differences that we need to cater for. And it speaks to the next point of global talent mobility, the nomads and the remote work. Do we measure performance, or do we measure physical presence of people being at work? Who here that is allowed to work from home most of the time? Who here is allowed to work from home for most of the time, or have that option? You see the differences. There's a high need for people to work from home, but there's only a few that are actually allowed to work from home. So that creates a gap in that we're saying we're measuring performance, but we want people to be physically present at work. We have, in society, challenges that need us to actually change our way of thinking. For instance, we have single fathers. Are you going to manage a single father the same way that you would manage a person that is married and has a stable family? Even then, there's different dynamics. What if Tapelo is a single father and he comes to work every day around 8:30? Are you going to have an issue with that? And he leaves later at 5. Is that something that should actually be an issue? Or can you have a conversation with Tapelo to say, Tapelo, look, what is happening? So with this AI as well, we need to humanize our processes and have the conversations with people, because context matters in talent management. Not everybody wants the same thing. Not everybody is facing the same challenges. So we need to actually bring that human-centric approach in how we manage people, even though we're evolving with technology and focusing on artificial intelligence as well. And the influence of nomads that also is influencing how things work in South Africa from economic perspective, but also from employment choices for people. So we want to grow our own timber of talent, but also there's global competition. So how are we managing that? Those challenges that I mentioned, that example of Tapelo, if Tapelo can get work from an American company and he still can work from home, take his child to school, how's that influencing your business model as an organization? So we need to actually keep in mind those kind of things when we're actually managing our employees as HR practitioners and as leaders in our organizations. And obviously I spoke about the issue of economic volatility. We have the gig economy now. Times are tough for everybody. If I'm working from home, can I also do something as a side gig? Can I also do influencer work, for instance, as an example, to actually meet economic demands and financial strains that I'm challenged by? So we actually need to have those policies and processes set in place in terms of managing this, because people are going to leave. I think we saw yesterday, for instance, scarce skills engineers, they are leaving. We don't have them in South Africa. So that kind of challenge we need to actually address as well. I think I have a few minutes left. So the current talent management trends that we can look at, people analytics, I think we need to go beyond just the analytics. Like I said earlier, we need to understand what they mean. We need to have a narrative conversation about what this analytics mean. I think everybody can get the data, but the interpretation of it is quite important in us making informed decisions. And we need to focus on holistic employee well-being, psychological safety, physical well-being, physiological well-being, financial well-being. Are we paying the right kind of salaries for the positions that we have and for the right levels for that matter? And I think the diversity, inclusion, and equity is something also that is very important. We need to be inclusive, as I've made examples of different scenarios for different people at work. And we also need to build a workforce that is adaptable and resilient. How do we prepare our workforce to be that? So we need to have a workforce that is quite innovative to actually meet and keep up with the trends that are actually happening on a global perspective. I think from a talent management framework perspective, this is something I think I've been informed most municipalities should be aware of, this talent management framework. So just to touch on a few key points there. As HR and as leaders, we need to speak the business language. We need to understand what are our finances looking like, what are the organizational goals, how is that going to impact and influence the decisions that we're going to make when we map our workforce, when we plan out our workforce planning, what kind of skills are we going to assess for, what kind of positions are we going to hire for, so that we ensure that we meet our goals as municipalities. And also talent acquisition and development. Someone yesterday told me some positions take a year to fill. Like, how does that make sense? How is that attractive for an innovative workforce, for people that want to actually work in local government as well? So we need to actually have processes that speed up that process, and learning capabilities and development, speaking to the infrastructure as well. What kind of infrastructures do we have in place that can support that talent management framework? So we need to understand our frameworks and how we can use that to actually enhance our performance and the performance of employees alike. And also in conclusion, I think, like I said, data insights matter. So we need to actually go beyond the data and contextualize the experience and humanize it. And I think coaching for culture. Let's coach for positive cultures in our organizations. Let's coach for high performance so that we can actually attain the goals that we have set. And let's set examples as leaders. We can't preach but not walk the talk. We need to do both of them. So we need to set examples as leaders in our organizations as well. And we also need to factor in incorporated, individualized career paths in talent management strategies, because everybody has different values, everybody has different competency skill sets, so we need to marry that with where the person needs to go. The issue of promotion, we need to expand on that. We can't wait for a vacancy to promote a person. How do we expand this person's job scope and their salary level without actually having a vacancy? So we need to do things differently. And I think the future of work is agentic. So all those monotonous filing and kind of work, that is going to be taken over by AI. So how do we ensure that our agile workforce is reskilled and upskilled to actually keep up with the trends. So I think in conclusion, I'd like to say, let's build human-centered approaches in our workplaces, in that we manage employees that are able to sustain themselves, and we build sustainable employment practices that can ensure that we deal with the challenges that we face as a country as well, and as individuals in our country. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tapelo, for that context. I think it's a really good grounding for the discussion. Eleanor, I think my first question will be to you. How does the private sector integrate approaches to talent management, and what lessons can they offer to municipalities?
Thank you so much for the question. Good morning, everybody. I think to tie up with what Dr. Tapelo said, I think it's very important from a talent management integration perspective, what municipalities can learn from the public sector. I think the important point of departure is to clearly understand what the strategic business objectives are, and to ensure that any performance management process that is implemented ties up to what the business need is. I think as HR professionals, it's important to be able to speak the business language, to be participating around at the table. But that being said, from an integrated talent management perspective, it's to ensure that from cradle right through the life cycle of the employee, it's to ensure that from a talent acquisition point of view, that you clearly understand what is the current needs of the business, but moreover, what's the future requirements of the business. I think for too long a time, it's been very transactional. So you kind of have a vacancy, you tick the box, you fill the vacancy. But it's important to understand what are those scarce skills, what is the future skills requirement for the business. And once you've acquired the individual, I think it's important how you land the individual, the onboarding process, and that's part of the talent management process as well. So talent management integration is the full HR processes, so it includes onboarding as well. It's important that when an individual lands in the organization, they clearly feel that they are part of the business, they're making a meaningful contribution, they feel motivated, because that will ensure that there's retention. It ensures that there's increase in loyalty. It will ensure that service delivery is achieved. Once that has been put in place, it's to ensure that from a learning perspective, as Doctor has indicated, that from a learning perspective, learning and development, that ties into talent management as well, that you don't just only skill for now, but you future-proof the business for the future. So it's skilling and possibly reskilling. Once you've done all that, I think you'll be remiss not to include performance management, continuous performance management. It's not just an event, but it's a process throughout. That in itself will tie up into top talent, looking after your high potential employees, but moreover, looking at things like succession planning. I think that's paramount, so that individuals have a clear indication in terms of what the runway is like, where my career advancement is in place, and then also how they move through the organization. All these things will ensure that employee engagement is high. It will also ensure from a retention strategy perspective, because that too is tied up into talent management. I think Doctor alluded to the fact that most of us enjoy working from home. When we speak about retention strategies, it's not just only about money. It's feeling the pulse of your staff and understanding what makes them tick. So it's things like performance incentives that speaks to high-performing organizations and ensuring that teams that perform well are rewarded accordingly. It's things like career conversations, career advancement, understanding what my career path looks like, mentorship programs, coaching, but moreover, even flexible working arrangements. Because when an employee is headhunted by another organization, they will consider if the new organization has what my current organization provides. And if in the context, if that is in place, that will assist as well. And then to round up, finally, is around making data-informed decisions. Every decision that you make is data-driven, acknowledging that AI is paramount important, and all that things tie back into integrated talent management framework.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Eleanor. Thank you so much, Eleanor. I think the key takeaway from me, I think, from your input is just having an integrated, exactly what Dr. Tapelo was saying, an integrated and proactive, and I think moving beyond just writing the policies, but actually making sure that these are lived experiences for the employees to ensure the retention. I think we are all very well aware of the fact that, you know, when we lose our hypo or high performing talent, the cost to the organization in terms of, someone was speaking about a year, for example, to replace an individual, the cost from a institutional knowledge point of view. So I think, yeah, holistically, if this, all of this is actually done proactively, it does result then in the long-term sustainability ultimately, which is the business component that you mentioned.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what we cannot stress enough is that we've got to take our line managers on the talent management journey with us, because as so much literacy has indicated before, you don't leave an organization, you often leave your manager. So I think your manager plays a key role. He is fundamentally important in every stage because he's involved in the talent acquisition, he's involved in learning and development. We do have centers of excellence that provide such services, but ultimately the engagement with the manager is, as you've just indicated, will determine the retention of that employee.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Eleanor. Allow me to just move over to you, Palakatsani. So from, I think, understanding the critical role you're playing in terms of corporate services, senior manager in the Musina local municipality, how can talent management frameworks be tailored to be to the realities of municipalities with limited budgets and high service delivery pressure?
Thank you very much. The reality is that, and perhaps focusing it on human capital, as we are mostly human capital practitioners here, the reality is that the perception out there is that local government, particularly employees or human resources, in local government are underqualified and are poor performers. That translates into poor service delivery. And our call as human capital practitioners in local government, what we need to be looking at now in the context of talent management, is how then do we reshape and shift the perception by creating and taking advantage of opportunities that are provided for us. I think for the longest of time, many of us in the sector have been complaining about the rigidity of regulations, policy frameworks, and I think over the past few years, 2 years in particular, we have seen government taking deliberate steps to relax and focus human capital processes towards achieving talent management, amongst others. The emergence of staff regulations, for example, creates an opportunity in a mandatory manner for us to start thinking about human resource planning, an activity that previously in local government that was not a focal area, and that gives us an opportunity to then relook and think interventions and practices that we can implement. I mean, Doctor has highlighted the need to transition from being transactional HR into functional and very purposeful organizations that ties the activities to the strategic objectives of the municipalities. I mean, our recruitment processes should not necessarily just be about doing it in time, meeting the requirements, having a product out there. But it must be tailored to ensure that the perfect fit is actually achieved. We need to be thinking as a sector, and I think SALGA is key in this specific aspect, in taking a conscious decision to ensure that we create systems that are able to ensure that we find that competence that we're looking for. Well and good, the competencies are defined for us, but do we have the batteries and models that allows us, our selection processes, to test those competencies that we require in the employees that we seek to recruit? We often complained about, and which I think is still a barrier that we need to grapple with, from a policy position as well as from from a visionary position. The reward systems that we have, very rigid, doesn't allow the agility that is required to implement talent management. I think Dr. gave you an example of how we are prohibited from considering promotions, for example. It's even verbatized in our regulatory framework. So we need to relook at, if we want to achieve this thing of being organizations that are responsive, that delivers on the mandate of local government and provide the satisfaction levels that are required, first and foremost, it's key to find right people. And finding right people means doing the extra, doing things that we could not do before. It's not just about finding people into the organization, but it's about ensuring that we actually get the best of the best in the municipality. Secondary problems relates to, because of how we have been operating over the years, the perception among job seekers, particularly the talented ones, we're not seen as an employer of choice. So we need to correct that perception. We need to place ourselves as an employer of choice, as an employer that a young person will aspire to work for. I mean, many of us here, I am not passing any judgment, I'm not in a position to do so, have been in the sector for more than 10 years. Where's the talent that we should be measured on? You know, size success should be defined in terms of the pipeline that he has been able to produce. We should be sitting here with youngsters that are capable of grappling with the current 4IR realities. So we need to have that kind of thinking and shift that assists us in taking local government forward. Thank you.
Thank you for those very sobering and honest reflections, you know, because I think if I also think of your last point, right, around the talent and looking at the room, you know, the average makeup of the workforce globally is actually 70% are millennials and Gen X's, you know, and we are also seeing Gen Alphas already coming into the workplace. Is that represented in this room, you know? So those are very sobering and I think important reflections, because what they are indicating is the reflection and awareness of having to unlearn so that we relearn to remain competitive and attract the talent that we are talking about. Thank you so much for that really critical and sobering reflection. I think, Thokozani, leaning over to you, and I think it's a topic I'm deeply passionate about, around employee well-being. You know, so what do you see employee well-being, or how do you see employee well-being as a driver of competitiveness?
Good morning, everyone. I've had an opportunity to work in the private sector. Most of my time I spend in the private sector. I'm currently working in a public entity, and it's a beautiful experience for me. When I joined the public sector, I had my own preconceived ideas, but the organization that I'm currently working for has proven me otherwise. But in addition to that, I've had an opportunity to do consulting work in the local municipality space around the area of change management. And I have come to really appreciate the dynamics, the complexities that you colleagues have to deal with on your day-to-day basis. So when we talk about the issue of competitiveness, we need, in this context, we need to think about it from two perspectives. The first one is from a labor market point of view. How do you enter the labor market that is highly competitive to really attract talent to come into your space? That's number one. But number two, as much as you are not necessarily competing for clients as municipalities, but we have a challenge to deliver service delivery within the context of scarce resources. So you really need to be buffaloes, as our program director was saying. And for you guys to be able to, for you colleagues to be able to succeed in that context, you need to build a lot of resilience. And I'm sure that my colleagues who have spoken to this area did touch that yesterday. So, in our world today, the issues around mental health has become a buzzword globally. And also the issues around work-life balance. And therefore, if you are not effectively addressing those issues within your organization, it is unlikely that you are going to be able to attract highly qualified talent. Because we need to understand that highly qualified talent, people that are effective, have options. These people have options. And it's not about you selling the municipality or them selling themselves to you. People now investigate the organization. They're highly skilled people. They want to understand culture. They want to understand how people are treated. And those are the difficult areas that we need to move our integrated talent management into. Addressing cultural dynamics within our spaces in order to ensure that the environment is conducive for well-being. And therefore, well-being in this context goes beyond the issue of providing EAP services. Those are fundamentals, those are basic. And we need to continue improving excellence in that particular area. But I am of the view that employee well-being needs to be integrated into human capital strategy or people strategy, as well as business strategy. Because the buffaloes that need to deliver service delivery, they need to be healthy, they need to go back to their families and love them and raise them and support them. So we don't want people that are going to be killed in our environment because of unmanageable stress. And therefore, there is a lot of work that needs to be done in the area of ensuring that the environment is characterized by psychological safety. People are rewarded in a competitive manner. People are given an opportunity to grow, to explore new opportunities. People can make mistakes and learn from those mistakes. We also need to appreciate that employee well-being is one of the key drivers of employee engagement. And from research that has been done, we know that employee engagement is associated with a number of positive organizational outcomes, such as productivity, such as talent retention, such as customer satisfaction. All these things are critical to service delivery. And we therefore need to start thinking about how do we use employee well-being as a tool to drive employee engagement within our spaces. That is going to be quite critical going forward. So if employee well-being is interwoven, integrated into our organizational culture, then we'll be able to see leaders walking the talk. We will be able to see leaders ensuring that they take care of their well-being and they ensure that their teams are in a good space. It is important that our leaders demonstrate this to the organization. And therefore, as HR teams within our organization, we need to find a way of influencing our leaders using data that the previous speakers were referring to. What data do we have that prove that there is a strong association between employee well-being and retention of talent within an organization. And let us arm ourselves with this data. Let us present this data to decision makers so that we may be able to influence policy making within our spaces of influence. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think, again, really critical, important points. And I think the key takeaway as well is around the proactive, implementation of mental health and moving beyond EAPs to make sure that it is a lived experience for employees. And I think your key important point around the leadership. So leaders play a critical role in creating the psychological safety from a mental well-being point of view by leading by example and actually showing vulnerability. I speak often about the fact that emotions are not feminine, they are human. So it's important for us to rehumanize the workplace and create that space for people, whether men or women, to be able to actually say that I'm okay, I'm not okay. And it's not seen as a weakness, Thank you so much for that. Eleanor, I think coming back to you, just your question around what role does employee experience and retention strategies play in attracting scarce skills? I think building on from the mental health, just unpacking a bit more around that point.
Yeah, I think as the previous speakers have alluded to, I think from an employee engagement or employee experience point of view, it's absolutely essential that employees feel valued, employees feel that they are making a positive contribution to the organization, that they feel that the contribution is recognized. I was reading the other day about an individual that was resigning, and they said that they were leaving, and the manager said to the person, "But why are you leaving?" And the person, they tried to convince the person to stay, and the manager said, "But you're such a value, you're such an integral part of the business." And the employee said it was very unfortunate that only at this point of exit, the person was then told how valued they are. So I think it's very important that one ensures that individuals come to the office feeling that they are making a positive contribution. The overall experience from beginning to end needs to be important, positive. As the previous speakers have alluded to, psychological safety is of paramount importance. It's important that individuals feel safe to speak up, to put their hands up, to feel that if they are vulnerable, that vulnerability is not used against them. And also with regards, as I mentioned earlier on, from a retention strategy point of view, it's very important that one ensures that when you have a performance management system in place, that it's robust, that truly positive performance or high levels of performance are recognized, and there's a clear differentiation, because if non-performers are rewarded equally as performers are rewarded, what incentive is there for top performance or top talent to display or step forward? So I think that is very important, and I think ultimately from a retention point of view, as I alluded to earlier on, it's understanding the pulse of your business, it's understanding what your employees value from a career advancement perspective, understanding what does the runway look like. In the organization I'm in, we have, from a talent management framework, they call it a global framework point of view, we've created 4 tracks in our business. And the one track is a support track, the second one is a professional track, management track, and finally the executive track. So there's 4 tracks with 27 levels, and I'll make the presentation available later on to Karen and team. But basically what it says is that I might not be a manager of people, but I will have the opportunity to progress in the business. So for the longest time ever, when I started, because I worked also in the municipality many, many years ago, the only way I would be promoted was to become a manager. But if I was a professional or I was an individual that didn't have that opportunity or position didn't become available, I could not progress. What this global career framework does, it actually allows a professional to progress through the organization without having to wait for a vacancy, but also allows you to move at the same pace as a manager of people. So that allows individuals to clearly see and also to understand exactly where their role fits into the higher business hierarchy, and that in turn also impacts how individuals are rewarded, how they are recognized. And I think this issue around flexible work environment cannot be stressed enough. I think if you your presence in the business doesn't determine your performance or your productivity in the business. Somebody can come in quite early and really be involved with all kinds of things except making a positive contribution to the business. So I think it's important that one understands different strokes for different folks, where it's possible. And I understand that, there are some barriers or limitations to allowing that. But I think as a manager, it's important to understand exactly what speaks to my team. The whole issue around career advancement, career conversations, mentorship and coaching cannot be stressed enough, because I think our young individuals coming through the ranks needs to be given the necessary guidance, needs to receive the necessary coaching, and not just only the younger individuals, but also individuals that have been in the business for a period of time, that are seasoned, also needs to be allowed the opportunity to be mentored, to be coached, so that you can understand, that you're not afraid to make mistakes. That this is a safe place. I can speak up, I can make a mistake, but I can progress through the organization. And I think that's very important from a talent management point of view.
Thank you so much, Eleanor, for those really critical points. And I think, again, the key takeaway is the understanding that it's not a one-size-fits-all. I find the framework that you spoke about quite refreshing. Having worked in corporate services most of my life, where it's usually seen as a cost center. So the progression, if you are in what's seen as a cost center, is not the same coming from consulting as the revenue generating, so it's really great that you've progressed to then integrate. So yeah, I think many of us would look forward to actually having a look at that presentation. Thank you so much for that. Palakatene, I think coming back to you, and you already spoke a bit around the legislative and how government has really been relooking at legislation and to ensure that it's not as rigid, and almost building a fit for purpose component. How do we balance compliance with legislation versus innovation in HR practices in municipalities?
Thank you. I think the nicest thing about legislation is that although it's prescriptive, it allows for innovation, direct innovation. Fortunately, the current legislative framework that applies to human capital and talent management, in my own analysis, actually tries to the largest extent enables practices for talent management intervention. I think what we need to wake up to, particularly as local municipalities and the collective bargaining structures of local government, SALGA and the Bargaining Council, is to try and when we formulate whatever regulatory and policy directives drawn from the principles of legislation, we should do that in mind of, or with a focal view to create municipalities that fosters a supportive culture, create an inclusive and people-orientated work environment that allows that work balance we've been talking about and boosts job satisfaction and reduces turnover. So the policy directions that we need to be looking at as we review ourselves in the legislative space is to look at, is to do that towards transforming our work environment to reflect what we said we want to be, developing an employer brand, a new brand that attracts, a new brand that emits positive reputation, that aligns or works with other institutions, educational institutions, for example, in order to create municipalities that are attractive to the job seekers out there. But I think one of the things that I would not have done justice if I don't speak about is also to introduce e-services that we not really invested very much on. Our recruitment processes are still manual in the main, so we need to move towards those e-services in order to ensure that we are not only having the quickest turnaround time, but also we benefit from technology in order to quality assure the kind of outputs we want to see. We need to re-look at our training policies. The fortunate part is that from legislation, the Skills Development Act has created an opportunity for us to be able to develop skills within and outside the institution by providing learnerships, internships, and training programs and other interventions for our employees. To what extent do we streamline those interventions to ensure that they support those strategic objectives that we want to realize as a municipality as defined in our IDPs? We should take advantage of that. Hence, I'm saying there is that policy basis and legislative basis that enables municipalities to be creative in ensuring that they implemented measures that supports a perfect work environment. We need to promote growth amongst our employees. Career management is not something that in local government is given the highest of attention. And it is not because it is restricted by legislation, but it is because we just have not been paying too much attention to it, and we need to look at those. So to sum it all, looking at the time that is left, Chair, I think we need to take advantages of legislation and take specific steps to review practices and policies that are not working or are prohibiting the application or the transformation of human capital to be responsive, to be agile, to be able to create that specific work environment that we want to see, the future of work that we envisage in local government.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Palakatsani, for that really interesting and critical input. I think we'll open the floor for questions, comments, inputs. If we can have a roaming mic.
Good morning, colleagues. My name is Zimasa Koyana. I'm Director of Corporate Services from Sengu Local Municipality in the Eastern Cape. I've just got comments really, and also maybe something that I would want to support one of the panel members on, that SALCA can probably assist municipalities in ensuring that we are able to implement talent management effectively in our spaces. At some point I did research for one of my studies on talent management. So this is a topic that is very close to my heart, talent management. But one of the things that I learned from that, or maybe before I get into that, I would just like to take this opportunity and appreciate the panel in terms of the knowledge sharing that has happened here today. There's a lot of things that I've written here as part of my notes and as part of something that I'm going to take back and implement in my environment. Thanks for that. It's really been quite useful, and it will continue to be useful even beyond today. So, talent management, as I understand it, and I think that that's where the difficulty then becomes for me personally, is that there is a difference between talent management and knowledge management. You have got what we call talent workers, and you've got what we call knowledge workers. All of us sitting in this room are knowledge workers because we are professionals and all of that, but not all of us are talent workers. It's only 20% of the people sitting in this room who probably fall within the category of talent workers. Out of the group of knowledge workers that are here in the room. And what does in essence is that then we have a difficulty of how do we then treat the 20% differently from the 100% that is here in the room. So you've got the 80-20 principle that you need to apply in your organization. And I think that's where the difficulty then becomes for me, especially in local government, and also because of some of the comments that were made by the director from Messina in terms of the legislative prescripts that are there on the ground. I mean, so yes, I understand and I accept and I appreciate the frameworks and all of that. But in terms of talent workers, all the things that we said we must get right, they expect to walk in there and find them right. You can't walk that journey with them at that point in time. So everything must be perfect for them. What they want from you is something that is extraordinary. What is that extraordinary that I'm going to give them? If that person lands on my doorstep, what is that extraordinary thing that I'm going to give them? So where I say then I would like to support the gentleman and probably ask Salka and Cocta to assist us as municipality, is the fact that if you look at our legislation, for example, something as simple as your organizational structure, we're now talking about an organizational structure that is a prototype. It's an organizational structure that says, for me to progress within the organizations, these are the levels that I have to go through. At some point, if I want to become someone senior within an organization, I must manage people. There are talent workers that don't want to manage people because they know that they are not good with people. They want to remain specialists. How do we then allow them to get to the highest level within the organization without managing people? We can't do that because now we're talking about prototype structures. So in the midst of that, how do we apply these things that we are so passionate about and we want to use to assist local government to become a better employer? So the second one that I wanted to just mention, sorry, I'm just gonna go through my notes and all of that, but I think mainly what I wanted to say is going back to the issue of structures. If you go to other environments, and maybe coming from the environment I came in, I grew up in an academic world. So in academia, there is an understanding that your best talent don't necessarily want to go into administration. So you create another type of progression within the organization. So they would start at the bottom as a junior lecturer, but they will end up being a professor without having to manage a single person, without having a single person that works for them because they are not good at that. So in a nutshell, I'm saying I'm excited about this topic. I'm happy that we're doing this, but can we then, if we want to work, maybe look at Salka, look at Cocta. How can they support us understanding what a talent worker is? Because we really need those talent workers. There are so many things that we need to change in local government. Salka also needs to then assist us in terms of those people are working brands. There are certain things that they will not agree to do. We know the environment we operate in local government. The minute you get them in, you then ask them to do certain things which they don't agree with because they tend to dent their brand. They will leave the next minute. So I just thought that maybe let me just comment on that. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we'll take one more, and then we'll allow for responses.
Thank you very much, Chairperson of the session. My name is Councillor Sylvester Vukeya from Gatelopili Local Municipality. I want to appreciate the presentation at first to say that thank you, Doctor, for a very informative presentation. But I'm standing here as a councillor, as an employer, standing on the other side. I understand what the director was saying, but I'm on the other side of the world. My thing is, we understand the talent management, we understand the going up on steps and whatnot, but we sit with a very big problem where you find out that you've got a senior who's a senior by position, but a junior by qualification. And then that senior by position is managing a senior by qualification who's a junior to him. And now you sit in an environment where you have a grade 12 who's managing a degree holder. And now we say is we are promoting the talent management. I'm telling you a reality, what we are facing. Because you've got a senior electrician who has been there for the past 20 years. And he's senior, but the people who are his juniors are more senior when it comes to the work and the qualification. So in this talent management, how does Salga, Coxstar, and people in this room advise on how do we tackle this? Because it's not only that. You find someone who came from a cleaner to an HR person. And then you ask yourself, how do we now rectify this thing? Because it's there. It's there. We found it there, and now we are told that we must upskill. How do you upskill somebody who there's someone who's a junior to him who's more qualified to? So I'm just on the other side. I fully support the talent management and the recognition of the good work that the staff are doing. But let's also look at the side of the employee. Must the employee stick with a person who doesn't have the qualification just because we are trying to, this person has been at service for long and whatnot? So I think also the criteria and the criteria on how do we get these people to climb the ladder. It doesn't, it's very personal to me because one day this gentleman had to go and call his junior to assist him with something. So you ask yourself that who's now junior and who's now senior? Thank you, Chairperson of the session.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think I'll ask you, Tate Palakatsani, if you can maybe respond. Palakatsila.
Thank you very much. Let me start by saying all protocols observed. I may not be the spokesperson of SALGA. I think, with your permission, perhaps I should allow the PEO to respond first. I will comment afterwards, or vice versa. PEO, it's up to you. Hierarchies dictates that I observe. The protocols prescribed for public office, so for professionals, and I should not be seen to be disrespectful of that reality.
So, good morning to all of you in the room. I'm not sure which framework he's quoting from when he's observing me. I'm the PDO from the province that he's from, Limpopo. My name is Lady Lisibat. So I was not going to respond, but I wanted to add a question. So some of us that are in leadership do not have HR background, but we have a people management dynamic, and it's very dynamic in Tokos. And my question around it is that, given that we don't have HR, and I'm talking from personal experience, and I'm sure most of us can identify with it. The first thing that I wanted to just highlight is that knowledge cannot be forced if you listen to what the councillor had said. So if you have people who do not have not upskilled themselves, we cannot impose on them to upskill themselves. Yet they are part of the workforce. And we are carrying a lot of dead wood. And as much as we're talking about talent management and how to keep talented people, one of the major reasons why people leave is because I cannot, for my mental health, continue working in an environment. I don't have a problem with my boss. He's very nice to me, but the people that I'm working with are toxic. And I, as the leader, cannot force people to upgrade themselves and to change their attitude. So I'm not sure if we have the capacity in this room to deal with it, but I just thought we should know and be aware about it, because yes, it's the husband, it's the wife, it's the mother, it's the sister, it's the friend who gets tired of having to complain over and over about the debt what we are carrying, but it's a reality. Because we're so dependent and so cautious of the 80-20 rule. To me, I'm just enough with the 80-20, because the 20% is carrying the 80%, and the salary bill continues to go up and up and up. Because you can imagine, if this guy who has been there for 20 years is an N6 or an N3 qualified person in electricity, and they are engineers with the latest qualification, the Alpha generation and the Gen Zs, they have to report to this person. This person's already, their self-esteem is affected. They're not able to perform at their peak. And as a result, they keep holding these ones down, and we cannot deliver. Part of the major mechanism why we can't deliver is because our people are not motivated, they're not inspired because of the people they're working with. And we are not talking about that. We keep on talking about how to maintain talent, how to continue recruiting competent people, and they continue to move. If you've heard what Tito Unati was saying yesterday, for those of us who were here, he was very emphatic about the fact that I don't see the point of staying if I'm in an environment that does not serve me. And he's a very competent engineer, very competent. And he's very, very firm about it, that as soon as Salga stops serving me, I'm out of this place. And we have such people. And the Gen Zs are exactly like that. We see them with our kids and grandkids. If you don't serve them, they tell you in your face. So you can imagine what's going to happen in the workplace. Because they say it even in interviews. They tell you up front that, but your questions were not fair. You didn't give me an opportunity to express myself. And therefore, I'm not interested in this job. They don't even wait for you to tell them whether they got the job or not. They just tell you up front in the interview, I'm not interested in these jobs. That's the kind of generation that's coming up. Absolutely. So with this kind of anomaly that we are not talking about, I'm not sure what we tend to think about. And from an HR perspective, Helen, it's something that I think we need to really have a discussion about and develop a particular strategy to help us, because it's a reality we are dealing with. Thank you very much.
I think with that said, I think the comment that was made, the first comment that was made, let me appreciate it. I think the response or the solution to the question you are raising indirectly lies with us. I feel like this conference has been useful to us, that we're accepting that we need to be disruptive, deliberately disruptive. The next round of bargaining processes, we need to look at whether or not these provisions that are there in our collective agreements speak to today's realities. We should be the ones as directors and HR managers to make inputs into policy directions that SALGA, I'm sure, will embrace and bargain vigorously with our partners to ensure that we are enabled to have controlled environment within a regulated space. I think that challenge solution rests with us. We need to make it our responsibility to ensure that we embed policy provisions that address the concerns. I agree that is why we are appointed as specialists, so that we come and analyze and make sure that we come with. I don't see a difference between what Honorable Councillor and leadership is raising with what has been raised. I think it's just the flip side, in that, in essence, we're talking about the same thing. But I think, with due respect, I think the legislative arm of local government, the other side, as he referred to, need to realize that exerting the oversight function, their oversight function over administration and ensuring that we do practices that are consistent with the law, with best practices, it's very essential. We should not wait until we have these realities, but also it's quite comforting that leadership is thinking about problems that we create by making some interventions, for lack of a better word. You know, the decisions we take today, without looking at the ramifications of what it means. Fortunately, the staff regulations, when it comes to honorable leadership, when it comes to requirements, has laid a ground going forward in terms of at least the minimum competencies and requirements that we will need to observe and ensure that no one in a specific employment category gain access unless they are at that level. Hence, our conversations should be about how to create instruments that enable to actually sift the best within those competency levels. But I'm sure going forward, that should not become a challenge. In terms of addressing the transitions, the transitional issues, historic realities of the work profiles we have, I think the staff regulations, again, under the staff establishment, ask us to, when we review organizational structure, fortunately we're moving to that season in the next year or so, to do workplace assessments, to do analysis, work studies, to do an intensive, and where we need to reposition, restructure and reposition individuals, let's take advantage of those provisions. And ensure that we have a healthy work environment. That is critical for employees who come in. They are not going to come in and find precisely what is being explained as by the PEO as a toxic environment or an environment that is discouraging, because even the concepts that I come with as a new person, my immediate superior cannot understand. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Palakatsila. And we are at time. It's really been a important reflection, and I think the key takeaway, what's exciting, is this is not just a talk shop, but there are actual solutions and awareness around the need to actually do things differently going forward. Thank you so much. If you could please give my panelists a big round of applause.
Wow. Can we give another round of applause, please, for this panel? Yeah, that's where we are. No, the room is starting to get back now, to shape. Hello. I know people had a very good time last night, but I'm very happy to see the room filling up. You see, yesterday I witnessed the true United Nations. True United Nations. The dance moves from Eswatini. The dance moves from the US. I don't know whether they're going with the shape of the rhythm or against the rhythm. But there was something that was happening. And of course, the South Africans and some people from the Republic of Cape Town, because Cape Town is a country on its own. So, but it was very good. It was very good to see people having fun. We are doing very well with time, or should I say we are doing better. I'm going to allow people to probably grab their tea, coffee. As soon as you come back, there's a big surprise for you, because you have been so good to us. You have been in a room very early today, and definitely there's going to be a very big surprise for your colleagues. What time can we come back for tea? 11. Not 1. Quarter 2. Can we just do that, colleagues, and we are back at quarter 2. And when we are back, Dr. Zondi is going to be doing a presentation for us. But I'm going to introduce her as soon as we're back. For now, let's grab tea, coffee, and we come back. Thank you.
should have. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Alright, I'm just going to grab a glass of juice and I'll come.
Hey, colleagues, can we make our way back to the room? Colleagues outside, can we make our way back to and settle down, please? Yes, because I'm the man of his word. I talked about surprises for people who will be back here at 2:15. Let's get the ball rolling. I've got nice stuff for you, colleagues. I want to take it back now. Who was doing the ENCA presenter for the panel discussion, Talent Management Framework, Strategies for Competitiveness, the co-presenter, ENCA presenter, who was doing that? Yes, sir. Dr. Tapelo Chacha. Is that true? Oh, is it, that was you, Dr. Tap, okay. Can he get his goodie? Salga employee, oh no. Sorry. He knew that is Dr. Tapelo Chacha last year already, so. Okay, we are passing, that question is no longer valid. Who did the opening remarks yesterday? I want you to recognize him with his true recognition. Yo, can you pick up who is that? Okay, my partner is going to give the mic. Ish. No, this hand came first. I remember. Her hand came first. And she was there at 2:15.
All the time. I'm the first to come. Yeah, the one who make opening remarks yesterday is Honorable Executive Mayor Puleshai, NEC member.
Thank you. That's what I wanted. The true recognition.
Can she have a picture with the program director? Yes.
Pictures time.
Can we have a
Where
picture?
are the pictures?
Please. Camera.
You see now, this is
Hey.
a demonstration of sabotage.
Okay. Some sabotage.
Thank you. Oh, okay, this way. I said it. Where are my lies now? That I'm a man of his word. The second question. I need somebody that's going to spell for me Tiko Unat. That was the Tiko Unat. She got it right.
Can you come and take it?
Yeah, see, my questions are unpredictable. So much unpredictable. Now, guys, you will have to agree with me. Now it has to be inclusive. The first lady, the second lady, then the third one has to be. I'm not gonna, yeah, well. This is the third, this is now the third. I'm gonna issue additional 2. Who was the rapporteur for the commission talking about diversity? The rapporteur. Who's the rapporteur? Guys, I gave you an opportunity. That is going to be a man now. Okay, there. So from what I see, I'm wrong. I'm sorry. Yes. Who was the rapporteur?
It was Miss Yolanda Tagosa.
Sorry?
Miss Yolanda Tagosa.
Yes, that's what's her.
Can you proceed, please?
Oh. MS. One last one. One last one. Again, I'm being inclusive. I'm not going to take another man anymore because they have always been playing in a game, in a space. And they've been there. So 1/3, it's fine. Ne? Hey, sorry, guys. Sorry, guys. Yesterday, who did our vote of thanks in our evening program? At our evening program. Yeah? Oh, that side, yes. I'm sorry, guys. Ish. No, don't worry. We're going to have our own conversation.
Where's the hand this side?
There's a lady there.
Lady in black.
Lady in black.
Yes.
Let's see if she gets it right.
Thank you very much. It was Mr. Mike Land, who is the president-elect for ICMA.
Yes, that's correct. Thank you. Thank you, colleagues. For now, I have issued...
You can come, ma'am. Come and take a peek.
I have issued 4 goodies, and I'm going to issue another 4 just before lunch. You allow me, Karen? Okay. Okay. So we're going to have we're gonna also have a copy of Ketwe's book, and the question is gonna come from that book. So it's not gonna be a very serious question, but it's gonna come from the book. Oh. So you may start to read that book now. Thank you. Colleagues, let's get back to business. Congratulations to everybody that has just won themselves goodies. You can see, Mos, it was transparent, except that I've jumped one lady twice for my own naivety, but I'm going to sort that thing out. Colleagues, we are going to be having a presentation, a key requirement in modern talent management, done by Dr. Piwa Zondi, who is a leadership and a life coach. Kakash. Sondela phambili ma. Zondo mkhulu.
Thank you, Program Director. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. As the Program Director said, I'm Onokpiwa Zondi, Dr. Piwa. I work for the organization called Self-Led Coaching and Capacity Building, which is owned by myself, was founded by myself. It's a coaching business. It focuses on leadership and self-mastery. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to present to you a topic that is very close to my heart, human-centric leadership. It is too close to my heart because I once was led. I also was a leader. So in all forms of leadership, be traditional leadership or human-centric. Oh, excuse me. Oh my God. I'm using this thing now. It is trying to embarrass me. I've got a very short presentation, ladies and gentlemen. I'll cover the reason why human-centric matters. I'll also try to cover today's expectations and the principles of human-centric leadership, self-mastery, practical strategies, and conclusion. Right, I'd like to pose a question, ladies and gentlemen. We're all leaders, be it we're managing or we're leading, but we are all leaders in the same space of local government. I have worked for local government for the better half of for the bigger part of my age in a couple of municipalities. So I'd like to pose this question: what if every decision was measured not only by efficiency, but by human dignity? I know you're trying to think about the question, but right now I'm not expecting the question. I'll go straight to the principles of human-centric. The old leadership, which is traditional leadership, focuses on authority driving, where the boss will say, you do this because I said so. It's a hierarchical and control which the decisions are coming from top, and with very little consultation, sometimes nothing. It also focuses on outputs and compliance. Also, efficiency at the expense of our teams, at the expense of people. That is how traditional leadership is. It therefore provides short-term problems. So, what are we going to do? What are the new principles that we want to achieve? Let us change the narrative. We want to change the narrative in terms of leadership. Hence, we come in with the human-centric leadership. Human-centric leadership focuses on empathy drive. It is empathy driving. Instead of because I said so, it says, I hear you, I value you. Ladies and gentlemen, being empathetic doesn't mean that you allow people to walk over you, but it makes you in a space where you are calm and also ready to hear what your team people, your team members, your citizens have to say. Also, human-centric leadership, it focuses on collaboration and co-creation with your staff, with citizens included, because by default, we are citizens and we're serving citizens. As local government people, all the municipalities, we're serving citizens. Human-centric leadership also focus on purpose, on well-being, and results. It balances efficiency with human dignity. Remember the question that we asked in the first slide. Hence, the human-centric leadership provides sustainable transformation, unlike the old leadership that just provide short-term. I'll skip this slide because it's a summary of the slide that we're coming from. And I'll zoom straight to the heart model. Have someone seen this heart model before? Thank you. Now, this heart model, in the heart model, leadership puts people at the heart of decision-making. It covers empathy, inclusivity, psychological safety, purpose-driven action. It got 5 elements. Humanity first. In the heart model, humanity comes first. Empowerment. You empower your people so that you got disciplined teams. Authenticity, being congruent. I've heard most of the speakers, they were talking about walking the talk. Being congruent, like you preach what, you do what you preach. It starts with you. So the heart model also focus on relationships. Your personal relationships, ladies and gentlemen, I don't mean our spouse and our people that, yes, they come in, but also only when you have capacitated yourself. It's about self-love. Yes, even the gentlemen, self-love is important. You can be self-love without having been compromising your gender or what. Self-love is generic. Emotional intelligence, emphasize on your relationship congruency, because you get to be, self-awareness is your key. Self-management, social awareness, relationship management, and then you got to transform. You transform yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, I am talking about human-centric leadership in an approach of life coaching, where you have to heal yourself first, where you have to be the person you want your team to be. I once was led or managed by a manager, a lady, who used to say to me, Nokpiwa, you need to be the employee that you want to manage one day. And she will advance and say, you cannot tell the director that you're not in today, send an SMS, and tell your supervisor that you're not in today, you are sick. When you're not sick, you want to go somewhere. And then she will say, imagine yourself being a manager one day, because we will not be in these positions for the whole of our career. She said, imagine you are pressed with reports, you got a report, And then in the morning, you just get an SMS from 3 of your 5 staff telling you that they are sick, and yet they are taking their kids there and they're not. He said, you must be the employee that you want to manage one day. So if this heart model will help you to transform to a person that you want your people to be. I have a question. As you see these 5 elements of the heart model, which one is missing in your team? Again, I'm not expecting an answer, but I'm keeping you thinking. You can see that there are these elements, and once you have this heart model, it takes you straight to self-mastery. Self-mastery, as a leader, you cannot give from an empty cup. You have to transform yourself. You have to empower yourself. You have to be empowered so that you can empower your teams. You can only empower the people around you, and then they will capacitate the people around them, and then the organization will change. In the flight, as we were coming here, the people at flight attendants, they always demonstrate this health and safety thing and tell us that in case of any emergency, put your mask first. In all what they say, but there's this one that says, secure your mask first before you attempt to assist other people in minor and elder, which means that if you're not capacitated, if you're not transformed, if you are not the leader that you want to see, then you cannot be able to assist other people. So secure your oxygen mask first before trying to help others. We are all wounded. Ladies and gentlemen, we are wounded one way or another. And we take that to our workplace. And we expect miracles. We expect our teams to behave according to what we feel. Since we are all wounded, we got triggers. I remember early this year, we were told that the load shedding is coming back. Whew. Everybody get to an anxiety, everybody went to a flight and freeze mode, and you find that we were very scared. But when you have the self-mastery as your tool, as your coaching tool, in your leadership space, those triggers will not alarm you because they're coming from unmet needs. They're coming from the tempered values. But you need to work on them and you be calm. That is when you apply your emotional regulation. You apply your emotional regulation, you sit down, you calm, you don't run to other things or react in a way that will distract the whole team. Healing starts with you. Hence, the life coaches say that. They said healing starts with you, not with your spouse, not with your parent, with your family, or not even with your team. I'm reminded of the onion and diamond phenomena when I'm talking about human-centric leadership. The onion got all the pieces, the rings. You peel the outside one, you come to another one, you come to another one. And I focus on the three one. The outer one is just you, your titles, who you are at work. And then there is an inner one that talks to your beliefs systems. And then there is a core one which talks to your authentic self. And you know the diamond. We know the phenomena of a diamond. The diamond goes through all stages, especially the 3 stages where it goes under pressure, it then, while it's under pressure, from there, it go to a refinement stage. So that pressure is, it's a metaphor indicating your pressures as of work, your pressures as a manager. And then after mastering that, it go to refinement. Then you get those critics, those challenges, those feedback that challenge you as a leader. And then there's a shine. Then it is taken to a shining department. That's when your clarity, that you get clarity of your vision, getting yourself, pulling yourself together, seeing why you went through all that. Both these metaphors are not there to break you. They are there to heal you. They both means that human-centric leadership, in fact, leadership is not about the power that you have over other people, but it's about the authenticity that you have to transform other people to become better leaders. As I was telling you the story of my manager, I still have it because she left it as a legacy to me. I still tell my kids when they said, how are we in M70? And she'll say, no, not today. And then I'll say, one day you will have staff that will do this to you. So it's a legacy. So it's a leadership that have transformed me and make me the person that I am. Hence, I've got this passion of human-centric leadership that I'm here sharing it with you today. Now, practical strategies. Yes, we hear you, Dr. Piwe, you're talking about the onions and all those things, but what are the practical strategies that we can use in the local government as local government leaders? Surely you can do this. Collaboration. You collaborate with your staff. You collaborate with your citizens. You collaborate. Not that it's not a big thing. You just do the minor, just enough for you to thrive. You adopt coaching leadership. Adopting coaching leadership at workspace is easy because you make your team feel your presence. You make your team feel like you care. And the other strategy will be team building. I know when we think about team building, we always think about a big event, we're calling a service provider, self-led coaching and capacity building to run it for us for a day, and then we go back. No, money is not available all the time. Do you know that you can do team building with your staff on monthly basis, even randomly? That staff meeting that you have, you can just carry it into half a day, team building. Just tell your secretary that next week Menco or next week staff meeting, we will have muffins and mind maps. You just order muffins. Instead of going through that hectic agenda, you just make it, you can make it just an informal and trying to understand what are the pain points of your team, what are the things that they value that is not what are the pain points? You see, team building is not that much that we need to have budget for. You can just grab a puzzle there at Macro. There's one that I like, Jenga games. You buy some of that, and then you just block 4 hours of the day or 3 hours. When people coming, they're panicking like you're going to grill that, then let's play. And then to play, you just getting, because the purpose of team building is to know who is in your team and who is feeling what, who is lacking what. Then you know that, just easy thing like you just go to the kitchen to change your water. You get there, you find people in the kitchen, you ask, how are you? Where are you? Don't be this manager or a leader when you get into the kitchen while people are warming their food, they just run away. They just ask, how are you? Even in your staff meeting, you can just take 1 hour, break that ice. You know that so and so last week signed a family responsibility leave, and now he is there. How are you? How are the kids? Before the agenda, you can just spare that 10 minutes to understand your team. How are you? How is so and so? Call their names. Call the names. You happen to know how is Lutando? Lutando is my grandson. How is Lutando? That's good. Let them feel around you. There's a book that I like. It's written by Robert Steven Kaplan. He didn't pay me for advert. It happened to be in my library. It says, the title is What to Ask the Person in the Mirror. That book will make you ask relevant questions to yourself. Ask your questions. As a leader, adopt this coaching approach. Just ask yourself questions until you run short of answers. Once you run short of answers, the authentic self have come out. That is how you will get the real self. Because we are fixing the country now. We're done with the traditional leadership and all. We're done with the boss ladies or big boss. Sometimes the workers will even give you a particular name based on your behavior. In conclusion, I know that we are here. There are engineers, there are technical people, there are people who, there are issues when they come, they emit. Those are soft issues. Those are soft skills. Take it to HR. Take it to ladies and gentlemen, I want to insist this. Human-centric leadership is not soft. It's strategic. Adopt it. It's strategic. It is not the person, it's not like a person, it's a strategic. How you achieve it, there is a practical shift where you listen. Where you listen, you empower your staff, include diverse voices, measure well-being along KPIs. As I was saying, that just make it your norm, that you know. We normally don't have big numbers of staff. Even if your department got 200 and things, but you got your second line. Just make a relationship with your second line and make sure that they are capacitated in a way that they will make relationships with their second line. And automatically the organization will change. They say, when leaders put people first, service delivery becomes a shared mission. Remember the first question that we asked, what if the decision-making was measured on, yes, now I got the answer. What if a decision was measured not only by efficiency, but by human dignity? The answer is, if decision-making are focusing on human dignity, then efficiency becomes transformative. I thank you.
Colleagues, yesterday we have learned our lesson about questions. Please, we've got time for 2 or 3 questions. Any questions for Dr. Zondi on her subject? Was she that good that there's no question at all? Karen, you are itching. No, not from you. not going to take a question from you. Yeah. Comments on our virtual platform? Kwena, somewhere Kwena is helping us with that. Any comment, any question from our virtual section? Zero. Hi, Kakashi, you've nailed it. Thank you so much. Yeah. All right. Colleagues, thank you very much. I'm sure the presentation was well articulated by Dr. Zondi. We have got a speaker, Mr. John Bosco Arends, who's going to be talking to us about embracing the future, digital learning methodologies for transformation with local government. Can we give him a big round of applause, as usual? He is an Information and Networks Technology Operations Group head and chairperson of the Chartered CIO Council in the city of Johannesburg.
Thank you very much. Can they hear me? Can you guys hear me? Yeah. Okay, I just want to make sure the mic is working. Good day, everyone. Almost looks like it's afternoon, right? Guys look a bit tired. Are you with us? Okay, no, that's good. That's very good to hear. So when I was asked to make the speech, being traditionally from an ICT background, technology would obviously play a big deal about this. But digital and learning, technology might be an enabler, but learning has to be focused. And that's why even in government, we need to have a proper vision when we look at training. Because we've been doing training for many years. And I think we've heard a few speakers talking about different things that we need to do differently. How even our behavior needs to change, not only as employees, but also as citizens. Because the more we deploy government digitally, the more we're leaving the people behind. So I think vision alignment for local government is important to make sure that you create that digitally empowered, learning-driven institution. And one of the big challenges we have in local government is we're losing institutional knowledge. And why we're losing it? Because there's old topics like me that's been around for many years, and we've done these things for so many times, through so many different governments, through so many different periods of development in the life cycle that we live, that those things are not kept somewhere. So when we go, that information, institutional knowledge goes with us. So your vision must try to deal with that. Capacity building has been spoken to a lot, and I'm not going to talk much about that. But I think when it comes to digital enablement, literacy for all your staff levels, including leadership, is important. Because you'll find that each of them are at different maturity levels in terms of what they need to do from a digital perspective. Digital can't work if you don't have the right technical competence to deal with it. And that is why your back end, your ICT, the ICT area within local government is something that needs redress urgently. And you need redress because the technical upskilling also needs to happen. And when you start going digitally, you're living in a different space. I mean, there's not a week that doesn't go by that we don't have some institution being hacked. And the hackers are indiscriminate. They're hacking banks, insurance companies, and government departments. I mean, even at the city of Johannesburg, we were not innocent. We were one of the first probably big, large metros that were hacked in 2019. And we survived through that, but that made us stronger. So it's also important that your strategic drivers that you have around how you create the modernization and the transformation that you want from a digital perspective on your workforce is also reflected in the citizens that you're providing these services to. And that is why the enabling technologies that you want to implement around digital learning is going to be of such a nature that it can deal with the differences that we have. There are people that like to sit behind the screen and go next, 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 and learn that way. There are people that like to hear a lecturer speak. There are people that don't even like to sit behind the screen. They like a mobile phone where they can use almost like a Google experience and ask questions and use AI and get answers. I know I have to be careful at home. When my granddaughter, she's in high school now, when she comes to me and asks me a question, I have to think about what I'm going to tell her. Because I made one mistake. I made them computer literate from the age of 2. So the challenge is now when I ask them questions, I answer them, and then I see them going down to their cell phones. Guess what they're doing? They're deep-seeking me, they're chat-GPTing me, they are even co-piloting me on Microsoft, and they come back and they said, you know, Opa, you are getting old now. This is the thing. You have missed this or you've missed that. Not that they understand what missing this or missing that means. Because that's the part they still need to learn, is that what you get does not always mean it's the truth. But what you get, you also need to validate that it is the truth, because there's a lot of fake data and information. And that's why the technical requirements behind it is important. The truth behind the information is important. The same with learning and growth. So sustainability and the scalability of your digital learning that you want to use for transformation must be of such a way that you're going to create feedback loops. You need to understand how things are going. So it's important that your strategy is right. Now, we work in local government for obvious reasons. We have to focus on the city experience. How is the city experienced both by the officials who work in there, the politicians who guide us, and the citizens and other stakeholders? Because remember, in places like the city of Joburg, we have four key stakeholders, and 9 out of 10 times they are the same person. But they have different functions. We have an account holder, a person who doesn't pay his water and lights, and we go and we cut their power. We have a resident, a person who resides in the city that has different other requirements. They must have access to certain things. We have people that are the electorate, that are supposed to vote and elect leaders in our area, and they have different roles and functions. We have business out there who runs the economy, who creates jobs, who does things like that. But we also have within the city context, we also have indigents. These are people that, due to economic pressures, are not able to get services or buy services as freely as we can because we are working and we're employed. These people are have allocatable services to them, like basic water, electricity, etc. So when we look at the city experience, these are the things that we need to do and look at, because if you want to create a digital experience for all these role players and get them all happy, which is a difficult thing to do, politicians will tell you can't make everybody happy all the time, only some people happy some of the time. You need to make sure that whatever you create digitally in that city experience must talk to all these stakeholders. And that is why it's difficult when you start looking at digital transformation. What are those imperatives that is going to drive digital transformation? How are you going to modernize the way you deliver services? Are we still having queues at city council offices? If we're having queues at one office, where is our regionalization? Why are the offices that are closest to where the people live not working? We don't have an office, we have a library. So what is a library? Is it not a place that's computerized where people have access to systems? Don't we put in free Wi-Fi and all these other fancy things in our libraries? Why can't it become a community contact point? Why can't we deliver services and use a library as a point of presence for your municipality? So you need to look at things differently. So when you start looking at digital learning for that workforce, it's no longer just about what I do in my space, but what is the outcome of what I do seeks to achieve. So it's important that when we look at digital learning, that we start looking at outcome-based learning for our workforces. And then obviously we have to do alignment with national strategies, etc. And we have to build agile teams. I mean, in the city of Johannesburg, we have learned the hard way to build agile teams. I mean, we are, every day, I think every second day we're on the news. If you look at social media, we are there because we're putting people out And then the next day we are there because we're not putting people out, so damned if you do, damned if you don't. But the thing is, there still has to be certain things. We have to still adhere to policies. We have to adhere to national strategies and legislation. So building those teams, we must make sure that digital teams are equipped enough to actually handle these evolving circumstances that we are in. So how do we create learning for that? And that is why when you look at digital methodologies around training, you need to make sure that you're not only training people to drive capacity, which means the what they do, the how much they do, and what they need to do it with. You also need to create space for innovation. And I think sometimes when we have processes in the city, they become rigors of control. Have you done step 1? Have you done step 2? Have you done step 3? Technology has changed. We don't need to do step 1 and 2 anymore. Technology has already done it. By the time that thing comes to you, things have been automated to check for 1 and to check for 2, but no. The person will sit there with his stamp and say, I've done step 1. Now you can go to the next window. It's almost like a post office mentality. Sorry, post office, if you're in the room, but I'm talking way back, different post office today. So when you look at that post office mentality, is you stamp in the one teller, you go to the next queue, they get stamped there, somebody else does something, you get stamped there. And this is how we've actually built our offices. And we haven't upgraded the way that our offices flow, and that is why service excellence for us becomes an award at the end of the year that somebody gets because they've met their KPIs or they've met their performance scorecard. But has the city met its objectives? So what are those scorecard objectives? If we have to look at learning and growth in terms of our cities and this country that we need to achieve, are we clear about what they are? Is learning and growth part of your scorecard? Is it part of your IDP? Is it part of your growth and development strategy in the municipality? And that is why when we start looking at these approaches around innovative learning, and I put that picture there around the flexible classroom, because where is the classroom today? This is a classroom, but no, this is a conference center. This is a venue. But people can be learning. Today, what is it? The classroom of the future is not bound by bricks and mortar. The classroom of the future is bound by presence and outcomes and intention. That is the classroom of the future. Because through that classroom of the future, you can then deal with issues around learning and micro-learning. You can, and that's, I think earlier we had a speaker that spoke about knowledge workers and another type. And this is the same with learning. Your e-learning, people learn knowledge. When they learn what to do, that's micro-learning. It's concise, it's targeted and focused outcomes. If you want to improve something in your business that's not going right, you create a targeted micro-learning experience for people in your organization. That's how you get rid of issues. But then you also have to blend learning models. Do you do tertiary? I know every year we get something coming from HR, and HR says to us, John, these are all the courses. And this year was worse. I don't know if your other municipalities experience the same. You can decide you want to spend 6 months in China, you want to go 6 months to Russia, you want to spend 6 months in Korea or wherever. There are so many of these training things that are coming through, and it deals with practical experience. There are different ways of learning. I can sit on my phone and be taught. So what are the learning models that you are going to find is best suited in your environments? I mean, libraries has become, unfortunately, a place for students to do homework. It used to be a place of learning. Today, it's a homework safe space for kids to go and to ask some lady behind the counter a question that the mothers and fathers are too embarrassed to answer or say we can't. What happened to that place of learning? Where is our elders? Why are you not there? You know, I used to, when I passed my matric, I was faced with a decision. Do I go to Cape Town University because I grew up in Eastern Cape? I'm from Gqeberha. do I go there? And I only ended up in Gqeberha because apparently in the 70s I was too white to stay in Alexandra Township with my mother. So we got chucked out for not being black enough. During the apartheid era, when they sent coloreds to Aldo's and this one to that place and so on, so on, so on. So my grandmother said, no, it's too dangerous in Eldorado Park, come stay in Galvandale, where the real gangsters live. You know, crime in the Eastern Cape is worse almost than what we have in Joburg. They kidnap people even there too. So I grew up there and I had a choice to make. Do I go to university and then hope and pray that my parents have the money to finance me? Or do I become an apprentice where I can learn and earn at the same time? And guess what? The decision was easy. Learn and earn at the same time. But what I did, where I'm coming to is, what I did is I went to the libraries on weekends. And I would read the same books that my friends are reading that went to university. And that helped me to grow in a different way. So your blended learning models must be able to cater for real life issues that people are experiencing. Now today with AI and the youth, they play games 24/7, but they're tired to do their homework. They're tired to get up in time for school in the morning. So why don't we change learning into a game where it's outcomes and intentionally focused on giving certain outcomes, right? Get them to do what they like doing the best. A phone to the youth today is like a passport for us back in the day, an identity. Their phone has become their identity. Scary as it may be, but that's the truth. Because through that identity, they can play games. They have a personality on Facebook, on Twitter, wherever. They have a personality with their friends. They have close WhatsApp groups that we don't even know about. Okay? But we have to think a bit better and faster on what we do. So what is going to be those virtual communities of practice? So we used to, in the olden days, we used to be a group of guys. We grew up together and we said, you know what? Doesn't matter who makes it, we're going to teach each other. Whatever I learn, I'm going to teach someone. So we created our own virtual groups. And back in the day, to get us together, I had to run to a telecom phone down the street and learn how to tap because my mother didn't give me coins. I see I've got some colleagues here. So we used to tap Morse code, type the number out. 0 was a 10, then 1, then this, then that. And that's how we used to make free phone calls. Sorry, telecom, if you're in the room. You can bill me tomorrow. But we created our own virtual communities of practice. Where are you today? Why are you alone? You have peers. You have people that you work with that are experiencing the same issues. Why can't you learn from each other, with each other? So it's important. And that's why when you start looking at policy, we need to sometimes change. You know, we've got what I call policy fatigue. There are so many policies, and some of them are even conflicting each other. What policies do you have in your municipality? I'll give you an example of what we did in IT in the city of Joburg. There are so many competing policies. We've got COVID, which is a policy on its own. We've got ITIL, we've got ISO, we've got all these different policies, frameworks that we have to follow. And all of them look the same these days. They all talk the same things. So you need to be intentional about what you want to do in your policy. So what we say is, for management, we'll use this framework. For delivery, we'll use this one. For something else, we'll use security, we'll use ISO. Or for quality management, we'll use this. So too do your policy frameworks need to do. And you need to harmonize those policy goals. Make sure that you understand them and harmonize them to work together towards what? An intentional outcome of what you want to achieve with learning. So look at your policies internally. Then you need to identify and map those interactions, make ways of improving your policy, and then come up with smart strategies. Speak to your CIO, speak to your business and say, what are the things that we can do? Speak to your partners to make this thing livable and something that we can measure and monitor. So that is why your policy framework will align with national plans. It will integrate elements of service delivery, because why are you training people? Why are you training them? To do what? To grow their own careers? The truth, guys. That's the story we tell our staff when We tell them, no, it's for your growth. No. We are training them for what our business needs. We are training them to do their work in our cities. We are training them to serve our communities. We are training them to deliver services as efficiently and as effectively and with integrity as possible. That's what we are doing. So that is why whatever you do, if you go down Smart City, like COJ, you can be smart. But you'll only be as smart as the smartest customer that experiences you. You know, we built an app years ago where you can go online in COJ. You can check your statements. You can pay online without touching an office. You can even declare a dispute online. Guess what? Our queues are still getting full. Because people don't use it. They are used to the step number 1, step number 2, because why? We've inculcated it into them. So make sure that your technology adoption is the part that you need to focus, even your staff. So when you look at, and I use the one from Digital Health, they came up with NHI and say this is what we want and this is what you need for readiness. What is your NHI strategy for training? Remember, cities today, we are multi-diversified and multifunctional. We are health practitioners. We are librarians. We are energy specialists. We are water specialists. We are literally a miniature country. And because we are a miniature country, we sometimes have to look and see, and there are realities that stops us from doing things all at once. And sometimes we have to phase out the rollout of the strategies that we have. And I use the slide that you can see here. Is a slide that shows a storyline. This is something that was developed for suicide prevention. Because that's one of the things we have challenges with in our cities and in our communities. And what it shows you is that you need to consider a lot of things for your phased out strategy that you want to use for rollout. And I'll use the one as an example. They say high quality treatment. And high quality treatment through either CBT or DBTs. Right? We've got certain training facilities that we have. What is your quality objectives of your training? The second one talks about gatekeeper training in workplaces and communities. Right? Who are the people that engage with your communities? Are they trained to be able to do that? And who are your community gatekeepers? The counselors, the ward chairpersons, etc. Are they engaged? And then when you look at prevention or awareness programs, how many of your people are aware of what they need to be doing? And are they then trained according to that awareness? So it's important. And then obviously there's reporting. There is a school-based, there's the peer support group, which is important. Where's your peer support? So what if the guy is going to WITS to study a degree? So what if going to KZN University to study something as part of his learning? Where is the peer support mechanism within your municipality to ensure that these things are successful? So you need to come up with KPIs, and these KPIs are going to drive the outcome of your literacy programs. So you must be able to look at the percentage of people that you've trained, not necessarily just in digital tools, but have you trained them in certain outcomes? What are the platforms that you are using around the adoption of that? And that learning management system, you can look at how many people are using it, what is coming out. So it's important that those KPIs are there. And then what is the relevance of the content you use? Gone are the days where we do generic blah, 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 blah. It's time for us to become more specific, more intentional about the outcomes that we want as far as training is concerned. And these learning outcomes, we must make sure that there's feedback around those outcomes. Like you measure your scorecard, what are the measurements of your outcomes? Did this training that we gave people, did it change how we served our clients? Did it change how we serve as a community? Did it change how we delivered as a municipality? If it doesn't, we need to change it. And what is the service impact? Because if your training can't link back to the service impact, you got to rethink what you do. So that is why measurement is a key indicator, a key performance area that you need to have as far as training is concerned. Because those KPIs will allow you to look at whether your expected outcomes are what you expected. Because if it's not, you need to change what you're doing. The important thing is, if it does meet it, big wow. Because I think that would show in how you deal with service delivery. You'll see costs being reduced. You'll see regulatory compliance improve in your municipality without you having to have a stick to measure it with. So monitoring is very, very important. Now, what are the challenges that you need to address in your learning environment? And here it's about addressing them proactively. You can only do proactive measures if you know what's going on. And this is one of the outcomes of measurement, is that once you understand what needs to do, you can now start bridging those gaps. And I'll give you an example, access gap, right? Remember all those customers and indigents and all these guys, they all have different means. So how do you improve access? At the city, we do a few things. I must say I'm very happy to be in the city of Johannesburg. We won an award at GovTech last night. Because what we did is we realized that we'll never have enough CapEx to roll out public Wi-Fi. Every year, our budgets will get slashed and cut because there are other more priorities, like Lillian and Goy Street that blew up, that had to be repaired at a few million rand. So what do we do if we can't buy Wi-Fi hotspots? We partner with people that does. So we partner with the VITS and their education group called Tenet. And we said to them, you have Wi-Fi hotspots. Why don't we give every student in the city of Johannesburg access to free internet complements of COJ? And all we did was use the infrastructure, published our SSID, COJ free wireless. Now, a couple of thousand students now have access to free internet. And some of them, if they can't even get to WITS, can now use the Tenet platform through our data in our libraries and do their work from there. So we're changing it back into a place of learning. So these are things that you need to look at to bridge some of those access gaps that you have in terms of learning. So staff resistance is always there, and that's why it's important that you manage with that and have change champions appointed in your environment that can deal with those issues. And I'm sure you guys are tired, you've heard a lot of this already today. But risk is also important, I'll get to that later. So you need to create those task teams, you need to fund and partner with people. It's important to partner. You need to be able to monitor and evaluate what you do. You need to decide today what is the future-ready workforce of tomorrow that you want. Because if that doesn't impact your learning, you're going to find yourselves not on par. You're going to find that your community is at this level, you are at this level, or you might even find the opposite, because you're thinking we are leading, we are the best, we have a smart city, we do this, but the people can't even access your services. They're still queuing in the normal way. So that future-ready workforce is important. So what are those risks? The access gaps, I think, is something that I spoke of. So how do you then make sure that your content for learning is available? Whether it be whether it's internet, mobile, on a machine, on a server, on a cloud, wherever you want to deploy it in a library, make sure those things are there. How many of you that have libraries actually put your training program content in the libraries that you manage? So that if your staff is embarrassed to come and learn in a class, they can go to a library and learn there. How many of you are actually putting your online training modules in those libraries that you have? Or in online communities that you create where people can go when it suits them at the time that they can to go and learn the things they need to learn. Resistance to change will always be there, so what are the incentives you give people? If it's linked to your scorecard, it will affect your bonus. But there are other carrots that you can wave. Cybersecurity is important because it covers everything. So what are the framework that you want to do when you implement? Understand your needs. Look at the readiness of your infrastructure. Develop relevant content that are outcomes focused. Make sure you pilot these, you test it, You roll it out and you monitor and evaluate. Now, because I've spent the last 43 years of my life in ICT, my other role that I have as the chairperson of the Chartered CIO Council, which is the professional body for ICT, we understood three things. The first thing is that even though our policies and legislative frameworks agree and understand that there are professional qualifications and tertiary qualifications, there's never been a unification of the two. And I'll give you an example. If you're an accountant, you'll understand what I mean. You do your BA. After doing your BA, you then go and do your articles with CITA, and you become a chartered accountant. But never the two shall meet. So what we have done as a Chartered CIO Council is we then created, and we did this with UJ, now we're going to be launching it very soon, is the first unified qualification that carries SAQA and NQF. And what it will mean is that you can study to become a CIO at UJ, or you can study through the professional body, but at the end of that training, you will get a tertiary qualification, and you get your articles as a chartered professional, which is different. And what that means is now, because we've done the SAQA NQF, if somebody now comes and applies to the city of Joburg as an example and say, I want to be a CIO or I want to be this, we ask him, have you got a degree? We don't expect to see a WITS degree only. The person can take his professional qualification, which is a chartered CIO, which is NQF 8, by the way, which is a postgraduate degree, recognized worldwide, put it on the table and says, I've got a degree. We used to speak in local government about having a dual developmental path. How many of you have implemented it? How many of you are only fixated with the tertiary qualification? And that is why, as a professional body, we decided to take our professional qualifications and give them tertiary qualifications and acceptance. Thank you very much, people. I hope you enjoyed my talk today.
Wow, we can appreciate him again. Thank you so much. We appreciate the presentation. What an insight. Oh, okay.
I know I'm colored, but we don't steal, right? So.
No, colors don't steal, it's true. It means we need to invest a lot in our IT system. That's basically what it says, as an institution. And also we make sure that we capacitate our own employees and councillors as well. So the budget goes to both of us. And meaning, Salga, you have got a task to budget for our councillors and give them this development. On that note, we've got few prizes to give. Okay, one of the questions, there was someone that you said you owe, Thokozani, somewhere here. Okay, but she must answer. Yes. Okay, the question goes like this. What does ICMA stand for? Wow, you didn't even read. Oh, you were reading there. Ah. There's something for you. May you quickly come and, and get your gift. And it's a book this time for a lady. Okay, you can come and take. Can we please give her a picture? Thokozani, you can please come too. Sorry. You're not doing your work. Thank you. Where's the photo? We're okay.
Okay, thank you. Is it done?
Wow. Do we have more gifts? Okay. Okay. Another question. Okay. I love this one. Okay, quick one. There was a lady who gave us a very interesting topic yesterday. I hope I'll get it right. The lady who was brave enough, Thokozani, to talk about how she put her foot down with regard to a grueling lady, the one who's firm, even with appointment. Do you remember that lady? What was the topic about? What was a topic in the panel? I'm seeing the PDO. Is it fair? She can't raise her hand, right? Do we know that lady? Okay. Beside her, can I get hands? Scroll down your program. There's a hand at the back. Yes. There's a microphone there.
The lady's name was Linda.
Linda
And
who? Surname?
I can't remember the surname. The topic was professionalization, and she was talking about recruitment processes within the local governments.
Okay, there's a hand there. You are there. You tried, and we appreciate. I can't forget that lady. We're going to disqualify her. No, I'm joking. Okay, can we get the answer?
Yeah, she was speaking, they were speaking on global best practices in human capital management.
Yes. That's right. Quickly come and take your gift. Oh, I'm the one who did not do the hands right. Okay. Karen? A picture, yeah. Come this way. Okay. You can please come. There we go. Thank you so much. The last question, Karen. Who was the moderator for employee wellness? Who was the moderator for the Employee Wellness Commission? PDO, no. Please, I know protocol. Don't fire me. Yeah. Can we have, yes, next to Karen? The moderator.
The lady with the blue dress.
The moderator. Yes. She almost killed me. No, you deserve it. Can you give a round of applause? Yeah, it's the PDO. My boss from Limpopo, I must say that. Congratulations. Thank you so much. Round of applause. Karen, are we done? We have one more. Who was the moderator for diversity management? A very hot topic. Very hot. There's a gentleman at the back. Let's get the guys with a black shirt. Is it blue? Looks black. You are holding your hands like this with your spectacles, sunglasses. May you still please rise?
It was Messi Murwa.
Moderator. Anchor presenter, but I'm saying moderator. That one was the anchor presenter. I need the moderator. It's a lady as well. Do we have a guy? I see. Oh, this side. Do we have a guy this side?
Yes.
Front line, he's reading, yeah. You are reading.
It's not easy to read the name.
Who?
It's Miss
The moderator, right?
Yes. It's Miss Modelena.
Madeleine.
Madeleine.
Yes.
But
Brandt.
Brandt, yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Let's give it to him. That will be that for now. Okay. All right. You can come, please, sir. Yes. An honor. Wow. That shows. Can I say we were listening or we were reading? Oh, okay. You're participating. Oh. Thank you. Okay. Thank you so much. We are almost to the end of our program. May I request Ms. Fazile Peter, Human Resources, Labor Relations and Dispute Resolution Senior Advisor from SALGA, who's going to talk to us about action agenda for SALGA talent management support to municipalities. Can we give the lady a round of applause? Okay. How many minutes are we having? 20.
Record time.
Record time.
The record time.
I want to see that.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. And could I also be allowed to follow on the protocols that were set over the past 2 days? Mine is a responsibility that has been bestowed upon me to deliver the action agenda, and it will also be followed on a reflection for the 2024-2025 past financial year, and I will also give account on the 2025-2026 continuous support programs on talent management. Program director, directors, colleagues, when Ndate John was busy talking, I looked at what his topic was, Embrace the Future. And Ndate John, wherever you are, you challenged me because technology is sometimes not favoring us who are faced with the youth and the upcoming grandchildren that are forever challenging us. But with no further ado, colleagues, from also reflecting, there was a question that was posed, if I'm not mistaken, both Lions and a previous presenter who also wanted to establish amongst ourselves seated here, from the first local government elections, how many of us were in local government by that time? And 2018, how many were already also in local government? And there was a picture of a very little of those who are in the room who were already in the employ of local municipalities. I will take you through the journey of this talent management seminars. It started way back in 2018 when we had the inaugural of the talent management seminar. And seminar iteration and attendance of 2018 gave us a total number of 339 delegates in attendance. And the theme of the seminar at that time was deploying the right competencies to inspire service delivery. And the question that came along with the theme said, why talent management matters. Our second ALG talent management seminar was then delivered in January 2020, and delegates in attendance were 337. And the theme during that time was based on building municipal resilience for complexities and challenges from an integrated talent management perspective. We then delivered our third talent management seminar in September of 2021, which had both an overwhelming number of delegates, 1,593. You can see, colleagues, that it was an overwhelming support that we received from our municipalities from the first day and the second day, so there was momentum. And the theme in 2021 was then managing talent for resilience in the era of change. So there were developments in terms of our themes. In our fourth iteration of September 2022, we had both virtual and also a physical deliverables. And we had an attendance of 369 attendees. And the breakdown is there. And then our theme at that time said, repositioning the effectiveness of talent management as a catalyst for local government professionalization. On the fifth installment, colleagues, September 2023, we had in attendance 382 physical and virtual attendees. And the theme during that time was deploying talent management tools that drives agility in local government sector. Our sixth installment, colleagues, September 2024, we had 316 delegates. And the sixth one was 316, pardon me, and we would, our theme at that time was calibrating talent agility to deepen institutional resilience. We moved on last year, this year, 2025, on the seventh installment, which when we then, both physical and also the virtual attendance, when we combined the data there, we had 254 delegates in attendance. And today, when we stand here, seated here, colleagues, our theme is optimizing service delivery, which has got also innovation, urbanization, inclusivity, productivity, and global collaboration. That's the theme. Why are we here? And why are we delivering the action agenda, colleagues? As I said earlier on, to reflect on the status of implementation of SALGA contribution to support municipalities on talent management, agenda affirmed during the sixth installment of our ALG talent management seminar iterations. We also further to reflect on the talent management programs of actions that are currently being implemented in support of municipal organizational development support initiatives. And this following slide, colleagues, will then give you a picture on what we have just reflected, why the action agenda. we then, on that action agenda item, the local government professionalization, what did we do in 2024 financial year in terms of local government professionalization, but more the emphasis on social impact implementation, where we included social conceptualization, and also where we had submitted to the COGTA minister at this time to establish tertiary council for local professions. Why we want to have a single local government professional authority where that body is able to give emphasis on the goals and objectives of the profession. Secondly, on policy reforms, we also still remain an advocate and still in the IGR space lobby and advocate for policy reforms. On the just transition research, colleagues, some of you did participate in the masterclass classes that were delivered. And out of that, we had then a just transition research that is currently being conducted. We further on to said the cascading of performance management still remain a key function, and we continue to then deliver. But this is also aligned with Chapter 4 of the MSRs. On 3, recruitment for strategic municipal senior positions, what we then delivered in the previous financial year is SALGA support on personal verification or credential verifications, which is also supported by the recruitment plans that from time to time we request you to complete. Competency assessment during the appointment of senior managers is also one of the deliverables that we supported in 2024-2025. On 4, skills development and workplace learning, we had our multi-stream counselor support programs, which both our officials and counselors were trained on, and we had a total number of, for counselors, 2,414, and a total number for officials, 4,312 trained. These programs, colleagues, we still carry on to this current financial year. We also rolled out the minimum competency level for councillors. On 5, change management for organizational transition, we also had solutions that in terms of our workforce in municipalities delivered that also optimize capabilities. The second masterclass on capability optimization, as I said, that was also delivered. We also delivered on municipal organizational development blueprint and the toolkit. Most of our municipalities were subjected on that one. But we can also give account on the implementation of fit-for-purpose organizational structures. Colleagues, allow me to go to the next one that also touches on the continuous support talent management support programs for 2025-2026. And these are continuous from the previous year. 1, local government professionalization in the IGR space. And this is what I had said, that we also entrust that whilst we are profiling from what we had delivered, we also entrust that when the single local government professional body is established, it will also address the goals and the objectives. The thought leaders database that we have, we draw from that. Engagement with civil society, that is also continuous. We also engage with our parties, both IMATU and SAMU in the sector. On policy reform, colleagues, the IGR, we still continue to lobby and advocate on policy reforms, but more so on conditions of services for municipal senior managers. Cascading of performance management is also a key driver in the sector for municipalities, and as Lance has said yesterday, we are going to carry on, we are going to lobby, we are going to advocate that performance management in terms of the municipal staff regulations, it is implemented. We must implement it if we want to accelerate service delivery in municipalities. If we want to hold employees accountable, we then need to put in systems in place. On 3, recruitment for strategic municipal senior positions, we continue for this financial year to support on credential integrity checks that we are still doing verifications, and also continue to support competency assessments that are happening in the sector. But we continue with the 3rd generation that we want. I think last night you had also the privilege of having the speaker who also delivered on this element, and I hope as and when we come to municipalities for the automate system, introducing this one, that you will embrace it. We are moving away from paper, and we want then to do electronics. And which I can also further add on this one is the fit for purpose organizational structures that we need also to consider as we move on this year, and we keep on addressing the issues with municipalities. On the 4th one, colleagues, skills development in the workplace, we also roll out, and most of you have already been contacted for the multi-stream programs that we are offering. On the 5th one, colleagues, solutions for capability optimizations in preparedness for our just transition. Municipal organizational development blueprint on the toolkit, we also continue to engage you and also to gauge on the information that we are extracting from that assessment. The capability assessment outcomes, we continue with that, and we've got the support plan. The HR policy development support is a continuous talk that we have to have alignment with the municipal staff regulations. The HR strategy, we continue to also engage municipalities to review and implement HR policies. The strategy also is one of the elements that we are addressing. Change management, support career planning, succession planning, career development or pathing. This we are also aligning with the MSRs in terms of the framework that is already given in the municipal staff regulations. In conclusions, ladies and gentlemen, it is recommended that the 7th ALG Talent Management Seminar delegates note the progress on the work done in response to the 6th ALG Talent Management Seminar that was delivered in 2024-2025 financial year. Also note the continuous programs programs of action for the 7th ALG Talent Management Seminar to evolve in response to local government sector, human resources and organizational development initiative needs, and that the action agenda shall further mirror pertinent outcomes, particularly in the global perspective of talent management. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time.
Ladies and gentlemen, another round of applause, please. Yeah, that's the way we do it. We are really approaching the last part of our program. And for now, for about 10 minutes, we're going to be engaging on feedback session and evaluation. Feedback and evaluation session, and I think we're going to flash the QR code. If you can do us a favor, scan that, then it's going to take you straight away to questionnaires, that you are going to be answering. Karen, are we all good there? Kindly, are you getting into the... Thank you. Yeah, it's a very smooth exercise, don't worry. It's not gonna... Just scan that QR code, colleagues, and then we're gonna start to roll the questions. Are we there yet? Are we getting in? Yay, nay? Thumbs up? Just scan those QR codes. And yesterday we spoke about the smartphones. And yeah, I can see smartphones doing wonders. We are no longer paper environment practitioners. We are rather... Can I... Are we getting in? Are we... Okay. Are we in? Sorry? No, the questions are going to start to be rolled out now. Are we good? Karen, can we start moving with questions, colleagues? There we go. That's the first question.
They have to type.
Yeah, you have to just type word that describe our seminar. Just one word. And submit. Inspiring. Excellent. Phenomenal. Wow. Good. Informative. Enriching. Empowering. Powerful. Developmental. Brilliant. It was very informative. Very informative. So this is us saying this, colleagues, and I think it's very positive the way you guys are really perceiving this seminar. I think we can move to a second question, Karen. Okay. I'm declaring now because they even... no, they're not talking about me. Wow. Speakers got 41% agreeing to the statement. That can only mean that we have learned a lot. 51, only one uncertain. 0 disagree. Okay, 57, and I don't know how many are we in a room. Okay, colleagues, but I think we can move to another question. Uncertain, 2. No, there's nothing wrong with being uncertain, colleagues. And there's nothing wrong with disagreeing, because yesterday we spoke about the issues of constructive criticism. You know, for us to improve for the future, we definitely need the true sense of what has happened. But it's commendable. About 54 agreeing to the statement. Great. We can move to another one. The content of presentations and discussion are well aligned to the topics, sub-themes, and overall theme. Wow. Okay. 57. Are we doing well with our virtual teams as well, Karen? Okay. Question: the learnings from the talent management seminar have potential to influence my approach back in the workplace. What is your key takeaway from a talent management, human-centric leadership? Okay. You need to type there, right? Practical experience to implement, professionalization, human-centric approach, policy development and implementation, the use of AI to enhance talent management, professionalization. This is great, colleagues. Look, if you read just from this, it really gives us a very packed luggage to take home where we are. And I think we are in a better understanding in terms of what we have learned here. And I like the be intentional. Be intentional on what you're doing. And I think many speakers, they really articulated on that one. Okay, we can move on. Which topic presented during the Global Exchange event would you like to hear more about? Let's move with it, colleagues. I think we are typing as well on this one. Modern management, diversification, employee wellness. Okay. AI is coming more. OHS, employment equity, the use of AI. We can see, colleagues, the way AI is coming to the fore, that we don't have a choice. We need to move. Early this morning, I was speaking to Dr. Mkize, talking about the very same thing, that we have got policies that are not moving with times. And really, are we hoping to see any change? It's like implementing same policies over and over again and hoping for different results. Okay, let's move on. This event has met my expectations. Okay, wonderful. If the no comes, we will accept the no. So overall, we have met the expectations on this seminar. And of course, we acknowledge that there could still be a room for improvement. However, in general, it looks like we've met the expectations. Yes, there is a one there that we have not met expectations. And I'm sure that if we can have an engagement, we can really get down in terms of what were the expectations, and I think it's very much. So we have reached the end of the presentation of the feedback session, and before I call the last speaker, that's going to give us closing remarks, colleagues, because this is the end of our program. I would like to call Helen to come up stage in order to just say our big thank you to you being as a wonderful audience. I'll give you an opportunity first to talk. And then.
Hi. Are you still okay? Okay, you still love us? We want to apologize if there's anything that we have done throughout the program, yesterday and today, and also to appreciate you. You are a very best audience that we have ever facilitated, and may God bless all of you. Thank you so much. Okay, now we have to officially call one of the seniors to come here and do closing remarks and vote of thanks.
No, thank you very much. Before we call our senior to come and do the closing remarks, colleagues, personally what I took, what I'm taking away from this seminar is that I think we've got all what it takes to transform local government. And if we can get back and do what we're supposed to be doing. And I know that we are mostly challenged by attitudes in our municipality. And if we can change the attitude and remember that we are public servants, that can take us a great deal. As I close, I would like to quote one of our leaders in South Africa that was executed at 23 years of age. And he knew that he was going to be killed on the following day. But he said to his killers, my blood will nourish, and I quote, my blood will nourish the tree that will bear the fruits of freedom. Tell my people I love them, and they must continue to fight. That was Solomon Mahlangu. And if we can have that attitude of saying, the sacrifices that I'm doing now, I'm doing it for other people, not for my benefit. Just because I love them and I've got solidarity with them. But I'm saying to them, they must continue to do the right thing and continue to do the fight until we get there. With those words, ladies and gentlemen, have a safe trip back home. As our leader's going to give the last remarks, we thank you.
Can we then call Ms. Lidile Molope, Provincial Director of Operations in Limpopo, from SALGA as well? Thank you so much. Can we give a round of applause?
Thank you, Program Directors. I think we will miss Ne? I'm sure if it was something, some kind of token to take away, most of us would. Because those who are in my age group know what it means. But thank you so much for this opportunity. Let me take this opportunity to really just appreciate our program directors who did a sterling job over the past 2 days, Thokozani and Helen. That's an international clap, ne? And proudly Limpopo, ne? Or proudly South African, let me put it that way. Thank you so much. And I think it's inspiring for us to see how inspiring we remain and maintain to be as SALGA. And one of the things that I want us to appreciate as South Africans, I think from the discussions and the in-depth discussions we've had yesterday, you could get a sense that we really don't appreciate how far we have come as a nation. If America, that we so gauge ourselves with, because it's the gauge of the world in most cases, can say to us the kind of challenges that you have. Yes, we have political challenges as much as you do, but the level in which your game is pitched at is not even half of what they have to deal with. I think it tells us that there is work that we have been doing and we continue to do, keeping lights on and water running as local government. So the making of this 7th annual talent management seminar is an unparalleled success. That's an undeniable one. It's historic and marks a significant milestone through our partnership with ICMA for the global exchange. And I think that's where I really feel we continue to inspire by making sure that we challenge ourselves to check how we are doing it within the international space. So the rich tapestry of insight shared from the global best practices in human capital management to the deep dive commissions on employee wellness and diversity has provided us with a powerful integrated framework to rethink and reimagine how we manage talent. For me, Togozan, I think there's one thing Ntokozo read from my spirit. Togozan, who stood here as a program director, is a husband, he's a father, he's a deputy municipal manager, he's a brother, he's a friend. So the holistic person is what we are. When we unleash your talent, we are not looking at just one office that you occupy, but the multifaceted person that you become. And the amount of responsibility this room carries to really bring about that transformation, that let's be true to this person, because I think it's one of the missed opportunities that we find ourselves in. I'm not PDO at home because PDO can cook, you know? The highlights of our program were testament to the theme of global collaboration. I think, in one of the discussions that we had was that we also need to expose ourselves to global arenas. So we need to go and search areas that we can also participate and also, be presenters. Me and Helen were agreeing, next time we are taking our partners with. So we're going to look for opportunities where my husband and I can then be on stage. That would be lovely, right? Because those people don't really know what we are doing at work, ne? Most of you, I don't count myself because I know I did my part. Most of us, our families don't know what we're doing at work. If by a show of hand I can ask here, who of you have brought your child to the office? Look at the room. How many of you have brought your partners with to work? So what kind of conversations do we have? Because we spend how much time here? If you're going to talk about mental wellness, and you want to talk to your better half, because you're tossing and turning because there is this issue that is burning at the office, what quality of conversation do you have with someone who needs to understand your well-being and be able to be supportive? So I think what was demonstrated here for me was a challenge on how, as families, we really can reinforce ourselves. So we're immensely privileged to gain first-hand perspective from city and county county managers from the US in measuring return on investment on leadership development and implementing data-driven public safety strategies. I think there's one thing we need to talk to, is how we're going to up our game in using data in decision-making. Because we have collected so much data. If there are complaints at work, how is HR using that data to better offer employee wellness services? If we are compiling reports that goes to council, Togozan, how many of your council resolutions are telling you of how precisely you are deciding on service delivery matters as an institution? Or is it just a schedule of council resolutions and that's it? Do you even have data on your council resolution? How many of us have made time to just evaluate our IDPs over the past 25 years? So it's an element that I feel we need to really come out very clear and expressive on that. How then do we start, becoming data miners, but using data to interpret what needs to be done? I'm speaking to myself as well. So finally, we want to sincerely appreciate the incredible team of SALGA Center of Leadership and Governance. Let's clap hands for them, really. You'll agree with me that they were very meticulous in their planning, and there was a lot of hard work. The team, if they can just rise for the House to know the currents, the MCG group, if you can rise for everyone to just really acknowledge you. I know Lance was supposed to be here. I'm the Lance of today, ne? Fortunately, we are light-skinned. So this is not even half of the team that has done so much work under the leadership of Lance. And this is the legacy that Rio has left us, that we continue running the race. Thank you so much. We can clap hands for them one more time. And in fact, talking of Rio, I cannot help but see his hand in the work that we're doing. And every time I almost feel, and this is my cry, allow me to digress a bit, I think we really miss opportunities to write our history and have it captured online. John, I want to know how, if I can go and talk about John F. Kennedy, I can prompt John F. Kennedy. It will tell me so much about this man who died almost 100 years ago. But if you go and say Lidile Molop, I don't know if you'll find anything. Rio is gone, and there's so much that work he has done. How much of it is on the internet? And how much of black history is written? Junior Achebe said it very well. Until the hunt tell their stories, the lion will always be telling their part of the story. For how long are we going to be crying foul of apartheid while we are in power? We, not the political parties, we. We can tell John and his team, this must be on the internet. I want someone abroad, when they want to know about ICMA in South Africa, to find names of certain people. They must be able to locate me to that particular activity. And how much of that is there online? We. This does not need a council resolution. It's a decision that we need to make at a management level. A sterling job to the group that they did. And we also want to thank the program directors, the moderators, and all the support staff for the planning and the hard work that has gone to this event. One of the things we thrive and we pride ourselves is partnerships that I want to also acknowledge. The nice gifts that we've had, the successful event that we've had, the speakers that we've had here are really part of the support program, which was crucial in creating this platform for thought, leadership, and don't miss this one, networking. If there is anything any one of us can take out of this, is the contact details of Linda from Ekurhuleni, so that we do what she does without fear of favor. And I know you don't agree with me. No, we could hear the grumbling. Somebody, even the incoming president, was talking about it yesterday, correct? We are, especially now going towards the local government election. But let's network amongst each other, because there's a renewed sense of purpose that we're coming out with, and a wealth of new connections. I need your connection, John, and a shared commitment to translating these insights into action that will build more resilient, agile, and professional municipalities. Thank you so much for your incredible contribution that has made this event a success. Journey message to each one of you, and lunch is served. Thank you.